Hello everybody, this is Josh Blazer from GameWisdom.com. Welcome back to another play of the Darkest Dungeon Basics. For this one we are looking at the Leper. The Leper is pound for pound the strongest melee class in the game. He also has the highest health, but with the bouncing and arrival of other classes, he has fallen out of favor compared to some of the other ones currently there, and you're going to see why in this video. As you can see, he has the highest damage, 13 to 26 base at level 5 weapons. That beats just about everyone else. 11 to 20 definitely will beat the man-at-arms, even though that's not a level 5 weapon. Even being range classes, such as the Arbalest and the Grave Robber. Look at his skills, not much in terms of specials or unique abilities, but let's look. Chop, basic attack. Hew, double attack, but with a 40% debuff. Purge is his corpse clear. Revenge raises his damage, accuracy, and crit, but at the cost of dodge and protection. While he doesn't have protection base, you can give it to him with his Withstand, which also acts as a stress heal. You can use this really effectively to buff the Leper so he can take damage, along with his high health, making him very hard to kill. He also has a self-heal, which raises his resist. It's probably the second best self-heal in the game, behind the Abomination's Absolution, and the only reason why is because the Absolution heals both stress and regular health. Lastly, Intimidate, a debuff skill, one of the few in the game that lowers damage. It's the only one in the game that lowers both damage and accuracy. The downside to it, it's not as effective compared to the, Weakening Curse here, or to Suppressing Fire. But it can be good in a pinch, but it has far less damage. Look at his skills. Again, these three are set for everyone. First, let the mask down, reduces his stress at the cost of raising everyone else's. Probably would have been really useful here, obviously. Bloody Shroud, another way of improving his resist. Reflection, really good, lowers his stress, but raises accuracy and crit. We'll talk about why that's important in a minute. Quarantine does damage to him, but reduces stress to everyone else. So, Leper, his obvious strengths are his high damage and his high health, making him really good in a one-on-one fight. He's great against enemies who are going to try and target him. Downsides, however, there are a lot. Probably one of the most downsides to talk about, up there with the Antiquarian, which I'll probably make a video about after this, as well as the Jester. So, the two big problems with the Leper. First, he is very positional. All of his abilities will only target either position 1 or position 2 on the enemy. He is also very positional, similar to the Arbalest. He can only do his abilities from position 1 or 2. That means that he is very limited both in where he can stand and what enemies he can target. This makes him very bad in fights with situational bosses, or with enemies who can move him. Some examples of situational bosses would be something like the Prophet, the Drowned Crew, even something like the Siren, and especially the Hag and the Pounder. Bosses such as the Swine Prince, Necromancer, or parties where enemy fights where they will add new characters, boss fights, are really good because he can just whack them really well. But if he gets taken out of position, either because he gets moved or the party gets moved around, he is practically useless. For instance, with the Shambler fight, if he gets pushed back into position 3, he's pretty much out of that fight, even worse if it's position 4. The other problem with the Leper, very low accuracy. Out of all the classes in the game, he has the lowest 2-hit chance out of anyone. The only reason why his accuracy mod is okay right now is because I've tweaked it with quirks and gear. We'll talk about that in a minute. But again, the Leper's usefulness gets worse because as the game goes on, enemies' dodge rates will get higher and higher, making it harder and harder for him to hit. Some people thought that rabies would be good on the Leper, but this also becomes worse as you get to champion rank and the darkest dungeon, because any lower accuracy debuffs like that are just going to be that much more pronounced when the enemy's dodge gets in like the 25 and higher. Characters such as the cultists who do stress damage, the Cove, the Pelagic Priest, or whatever they're called, and even those damn dogs in the Weald, are going to have a field day with the Leper. Leper will kill them pretty much in 1 or 2 hits, but he actually has to connect, and therein lies the problem. Because of that, the Leper is also very specialized in terms of what trinkets and quirks you want for him. A big one you want for the Leper, so big that if you see a Leper with the stagecoach who has it, you should snatch him up, is Fated. Chance to turn any miss into a hit. Another good one, obviously, Slugger, raise his damage. Also, aiming to raise his crit because he has one of the lowest crit chances due to his high base attack is also great. And that also goes for trinkets. I actually got quite a number of trinkets that are good for the Leper. Ancestor's Candle is good for raising his speed. He also has very low speed. The Fortunate Armlet is good for him, raises accuracy and crit. We come over here. Got quite a bit of trinkets here. The Berserk Mask is alright. You can also raise his damage with something like Dismant's Head. Focus Ring is also really great for raising his accuracy. It's probably going to be one you're going to equip on him most often. Legendary Bracer is both good and bad. Gives him incredible damage. Again, his base damage is so high that you'll really see that 20% damage. The downside is the speed. With his base speed at 4, it means that with the Legendary Bracer, he will most likely go last every time. Some other good ones, we can go for like the Tough Ring. Lowers his damage but gives him protection. Immunity Mask, that's okay. Again, I really like the Fortunate Armlet. Do I have any sun stuff at the moment? Yeah, not much here. But yeah, those trinkets are really good. He has some low common ones. Redemption Armlet is okay, I suppose. But I'd rather give him something extreme, like, again, Dismant's Head, Ancestor's Candle, or, let me see, anything else here? Feather Crystal could be good for speed. Again, it's such a positional and situational class that you'll have to build him tailored to trinkets, quirks, and your party. Some good members to take with him. The Jester is great because the Jester can not only recover his stress, but Bao raising his accuracy, crit, and speed is just gangbusters for the Leper. You can also take the Vestal. Because the Leper is a holy class, he will not go with the Abomination, but the Vestal's bonuses towards religious characters will synergize with the Leper. Other than that, you want to avoid other positional or situational classes, such as the Arbalist, the Plague Doctor, and maybe even like the Crusader, arguably. Classes that can hit for multiple positions or work in multiple positions are great to team with the Leper to sort of compensate. Bounty Hunter, Grave Robber, Houndmaster, and even the Hellion make good party members of the Leper. Try to avoid, again, a party with an Arbalist or a Plague Doctor with that Leper, because again, if they get shuffled around, you'll basically have half your party useless. I cannot reiterate or stress enough that the Leper is not good in positional or situational fights. I recently uploaded a video with him trying to take on the down crew with a Plague Doctor, and because the Leper got knocked out of position because of his heave-ho, the Leper just became useless. He did tons of damage. I think he did a 60 crit, but once he was knocked out of position, there's just no way of using him, and then I'm down a party member. Actually, I'm down 2 party members because the Plague Doctor was also knocked out of position. Again, he's good for regular fights, like if you want to go on a long dungeon or a champion fight, something like that, where you can make use of him like that is great. But boss fights, unless they are general fights like the Necromancer, Swine, or Formless Flesh, he's just not that good with. And again, his role has been somewhat eclipsed thanks to the Abomination, who also gets huge damage, but has far greater utility and works in other slots. So, that is the Leper. Again, just his usefulness is great in the beginning, but it becomes harder and harder to get him to work properly when you get to later fights, and fights with enemies who can push him out of his first or second position. But that's going to do for this video. Next up, which will probably be very soon, will be the Antiquarian. I'll have to grab one, but that shouldn't be too bad. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, always like and subscribe. That helps out a lot. Check out game-wisdom.com for posts and podcasts relating to the game design industry. Find me on Patreon or Game Wisdom, and any donations would be greatly appreciated. And of course, subscribe on Twitch and Twitter under GW Blazer for the latest updates of streams, podcasts, posts, and more. Like I said, be sure to check out the Antiquarian video, which should be coming up very soon. Take care, everybody.